Hi guys, I'm WizBandit, and today I wanted to talk about the up-and-coming Fortnite Chapter 6, because it looks very promising. It's bringing back a lot of cool things, adding a lot of cool new features and weapons, and I wanted to bring up one main factor, and that's, will this chapter be better than Chapter 5? Because Chapter 5 was a really bad rough patch for Epic, and I wanted to get through that chapter as fast as possible. And now we have this chapter coming up, which looks like it's going to be insanely fun. So I wanted to see how this chapter would compare to Chapter 5 in comparison, according to the information that we have from the trailers. So without further ado, let's get started with the flaws of Fortnite Chapter 5. Alright, so I wanted to start this video off with talking about Chapter 5 and how, at least for me and a lot of other people, this was by far the worst chapter they've ever done. And that's because of a lot of different factors. And I kind of lied with you with that title there, because I'm not going to be telling you everything wrong with Chapter 5, because if I did, it would be a 30-minute long video. But I'm just going to sum up the main problems that me and many others had with Chapter 5. Starting off, we're going to have to obviously talk about the new mechanics Chapter 5 added. First of all, we have on screen the train. But yeah, the train, that's not really much of an importance. The train was just kind of there. It didn't really give much good loot. Nobody really went on it. It sounded cool, but it was just kind of failed. So, again, another negative. Then we have, obviously, the new movement of the chapter, which is probably the biggest gripe everybody had with this chapter. And, oh my god, it was horrible. For the first, 3 days you played Chapter 5, you couldn't move, because they messed up walking so badly in an attempt to try to make the game more realistic, and it just absolutely ruined the game. They also added mantling, but it's a really good add, but Chapter 4 was the reason that came into the game, but it just didn't come out in Chapter 4 due to bugs, so I'm not really gonna credit them on that one. And then wall mantling, where you can mantle multiple walls at once. Yeah, nobody actually used that. I'm pretty sure you can only use it half of the time, and it was borderline useless. I mean, I didn't play a lot of build in Chapter 5 because build was a nightmare. I mean, so was zero build. The competitive in this chapter was overall a nightmare, but that's beside the point. But, well, it is part of the point. Competitive this chapter was horrible. The loot pool was either absurdly broken or absolute garbage. You would have, the Nitro Fists and, the cars. Those were absurd. And then you would have something like the Zeus's Thunderbolts, which were, borderline horrible. Not to mention the mobility this chapter was absolute garbage. The only way you could move with it was in chapter, was in Season 3, because then you had all these movement. The entire Season 3 was based on movement, and the rest of the chapter got nothing. We had the Wings of Icarus, which were absolute garbage because anybody could kill you as soon as you use those once. And then we had the Grapple Blade. That was okay, just not that great, to be honest. I kind of would prefer the Grappler. The only upside is that you can basically use it infinite times because it recharges the Kinetic Blade. And yeah, it was not that good this season. And then my brother just sent me the script of the B movie. I would also like to bring up the horrible, and I mean horrible additions they added to guns. So first of all, we're talking about weapon attachments. Weapon attachments were cool for the first season, because you could find mod benches. Mod benches were benches that you could if you didn't know, mod benches could change what weapon mods you had, because otherwise you couldn't change your weapon mods, which was kind of a stupid idea in retrospect. But yeah, and then the problem with that is that after Season 1, Epic made those things impossible to find. Like, you could only find them in bunkers. And, like, you would only find, like, 3 bunkers on the entire map. And they were always, like, heavily camped. It was so stupid. It was, like, basically useless. And the worst part is, because of how limited mod benches were, like, you were stuck with the same mods the entire game, basically. And it absolutely sucked, because, like, you would have something like a really bad scope on a shotgun, or, like, the light mag on, like, the gatekeeper, and it was all really, really bad. And then, like, next, I want to talk about, oh my god, worst addition this entire chapter, probably? Bullet drop. Do I even need to elaborate? Bullet drop, they made it so that every bullet you fire on every gun, including the guns that weren't even in the game at the time, all of their bullets, like, took a curve after, like, barely even shooting them. And it made people have to relearn all of their gun tactics from, like, 6 years prior. Like, you can't just do that. You can't rework guns without us knowing. That's so stupid. Why would you do that? Also, fun fact, I'm doing a double take, because I said so much bad stuff about Chapter 5 that the video became 10 minutes long before I even got to Chapter 6. So I'm just going to sum up the rest of the things that were absolutely horrible. First off, medallions. They were either too broken or absolutely useless, and they made going after bosses either, like, every single good boss was absurdly, like camped and, like, hoarded, and then all the bad bosses, like, were just, like, absolutely useless. There was no point to land there, which made, like, the POIs useless to land there. And then there's always, of course, the art style that they changed. They made it absurdly bland. Least favorite part about the chapter. They made everything colorless. Then the POIs were really colored. Like, you'd have hell, and then Dr. Doom's castle next to Mad Max Furiosa, like, the Derby Dome, right next to each other. It made no sense. And, like, Chapter 5 just messed up at everything it tried to do. Everything that they tried to make better just made the game 7 times worse. So many people quit. The game reached record-breaking lows in player counts, and the game was just horrible for, like, the last year. And I'm so happy that we're going to Chapter 6. And now, time to talk about Chapter 6. Now time to talk about the only reason you guys clicked on this video, to talk about the actually fun chapter. Yay! Yeah, so, like, so far from what we've seen in the trailers, Chapter 6 just kind of looks like Chapter 5 if it was done right. And what I mean by that is the chapter looks gorgeous, and, like, it's more realistic than Chapter 5 was, to be honest. But, like, they made it so colorful and bright and, like, so, like interesting, instead of, like, all the same, like, Spanish, like, Floridian, like, style with the red shingle building. Like, every building in Chapter 5 was the same, but, like, every single place here is different. Like, you have a temple, you have a city. You know, this entire chapter gives me vibes of the Mega season, and that is a really good thing, because Mega was a really, really good season, in my opinion. It was one of the best ones aesthetically, no doubt. That's what, like, everybody knows that. And, like, this is just gonna be awesome if it's anything like Mega was, but, like, with better graphics. It's like, you're able to have good graphics. I'm not saying have bad graphics. I'm saying have good graphics, but keep the colorfulness and art style of Fortnite, and that's what they did here. It's like, it still looks like it could be Fortnite, but, like, with better graphics, which is what we wanted. But we didn't get that in Chapter 5, we got it in this chapter, and I couldn't be happier. Except if we got it in Chapter 5. But aside from that, I also want to talk about the move pool. I mean, like, I said move pool, but same thing, gun pool, whatever you want to call it. The guns and, like, weapons in this chapter look awesome. Like, I don't think they showed many guns, but, like, they showed the katana. That looks absurd. They're adding back the lock-on pistol. Oh my god, they're adding back the kinetic blade. Oh my god. I think they might be using that fan. I don't know if that's just going to be your pickaxe or if that's going to be an actual weapon. If it's an actual weapon, that would be absurd. Dude, this is literally just Mega City again. They have the lock-on pistol, kinetic blade, samurai. Like, there's a city and then there's a ton of temples around it. This is Mega City on a larger scale, and I could not be happier. I absolutely love Mega City. And it's just such a good chapter. They did everything right. And then I think the only problem I would have with this is the movement. Wall jumping looks absurdly fun. It's gonna spice up gameplay. I think I don't know what it was called, wall running. I think it's okay. I don't think it's gonna do much. I think it's just kind of like a better version of mantling, kind of. But I'm kind of worried about tumbling because it just cancels out fall damage apparently. And if it cancels out fall damage, that's gonna be a problem because fall damage is like the only reason you don't want to go up high and get the advantage. But like, yeah, it's I just hope that tumbling isn't too OP. If tumbling isn't too OP and they don't like mess up like walking again, this is going to be an awesome chapter. I'm going to love the new additions to movement. I love the new weapons. I love the fact that they're basically bringing back Mega City. They're making new bosses that look like they're straight out of Dark Souls. I love this. And let's not forget Godzilla. I almost forgot about Godzilla. We're just going to have a giant Godzilla from the new movie just walking around destroying everything. That is insane, dude. What I want to see is that you can like shoot their scales. Like, shoot his scales or, like, possibly kill him. I doubt you're going to be able to kill him, though. But, and he'll drop, like, something that will let you get, like, the Kong axe, which is, like, made out of his, spine. And if you're saying, oh, you spoiled the new movie, go watch the old movies. That was from a movie, like, 10 years ago. But anyway, I am a sucker for Godzilla, so this is so good. Mega City plus Godzilla plus, like, Chapter 5 better graphics. And it's colorful. Dude, this is gonna be the best chapter of all time. I'm already calling it. Please, Epic, make this the best chapter of all time. I don't want to look like an idiot. And I'm really hoping this is gonna be good, because this is, like, my dream chapter. Mega City's, like, my favorite season. And if you just made an entire chapter that's, like, Mega City with, like, mythical creatures and Godzilla, that would be perfect. Anyway, I've been Wiz Bandit. I've been yapping for, like, 13 minutes? I'm gonna let you guys go. I mean, you could have gone anytime. I wasn't, like, holding you hostage. Just making that sure in case any of you want to bring me to a court of law. Anyway, bye, guys. Send off the way you are.